Welcome to Beyond the Paper Gown. I'm your host, Dr. Mitzi Crockover. Today, we're exploring Ayurveda, one of the world's oldest holistic healing systems, with Dr. Neela Sheth, an Ayurvedic physician practicing in Switzerland. Dr. Sheth specializes in women's health and brings over 20 years of experience treating patients across multiple continents. Before we get started, just a reminder that the information we present here is for education only and is not intended as medical advice. So, what is Ayurveda? Dr. Sheth provides a descriptive analogy.
So, Ayurveda, in the name itself, is the meaning Ayurveda. Okay, so Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word which is made from Ayur and Veda. Ayur means life. So, the knowledge, Veda means knowledge, and the knowledge about life, but more than life is the knowledge about living, which is originated in India maybe more than 3,000 years ago. I'm just going to make it very simple by giving an example. So we have many machines which we use in our life, from the kitchen to the car. And with every machine, we need to have a user manual. How to use this machine? What are the indicators that the machine is working well or not? Introduction to what is the property of this machine. So that is what Ayurveda is to our body. And that is why all the knowledge about how to live a life leading to a healthy and long life is the knowledge which is sitting in the books of Ayurveda.
Dr. Sheth uses Ayurvedic principles to treat patients from Switzerland to the United States, showing how this personalized approach transcends geography and culture. One of the fundamental principles of Ayurveda is the connection between our bodies and the natural world. Ayurveda views the human body as a microcosm of the larger cosmos.
So the whole universe, the environment around us, everything what happens there also happens in our body. And our body is constituted also with the same 5 elements which are the base of the whole universe. So maybe you know the 5 elements. They are space, air, fire, water and earth. And all of these elements, so we are part and parcel of the big cosmos, but there exists a small cosmos inside us. And that's why in Ayurveda we also talk about the psychological aspects always, the environmental aspects always, so that together this is a complete, a holistic, and a very interconnected system with the nature. We hear about herbs, we hear about spices, there is food, nutrition, and everything is based on the same thing, that our body is the nature, and if we consume nature, our body understands this, how to metabolize it, how to use it, how to make energy from this. So our body is programmed to do so. And that's why we can use food, which is our first and only nutrition that we put inside our body. So we can use this food to make energy, as we do, but we can also use food to heal ourselves, because the food becomes medicine when we know how to use it.
In Ayurveda, every patient is unique. So unlike the standard 15-minute doctor visits many of us are used to, Ayurvedic treatment takes a deeply personalized approach. Dr. Sheth says her first consultation is about an hour and 15 minutes, with shorter follow-ups since she has spent so much time up front getting to know her patient. The focus of an Ayurvedic approach is also different. According to Dr. Sheth, Western medicine pays much more attention to symptoms and the patient's history related to those symptoms. In Ayurveda, the focus is on the patient.
In Ayurveda, we have different kind of methods to assess the patients. So there is a 8-point system where we do the pulse examination, we do the tongue examination, but also we check about the digestive system, how much you are sleeping, how much you are able to eliminate, how is the urination. There are eight things which we need to know. What we try to do after this is to try to establish what body type this person has. So body type or constitution, that is what we need to assess based on the doshas. And we also assess to make a diagnosis of today's problem based on the Ayurvedic principles. So in Ayurveda, we have a three dosha theory, like three doshas. Now, dosha itself is, if I would try to explain it in easy terms, it's like a biofunctional energy, okay, which is not like an invisible energy. So we have the vata, pitta, and kapha, the three doshas, and our body is made up of these three doshas. The dosha help the body to function. When the doshas are less or more like imbalanced, we always see that there is a symptom coming. And when the doshas are in balance, that is when you feel very good, you are a healthy person. Now, based on the three doshas, we classify every person into which body type it has. Now, body type in Sanskrit, in Ayurveda, is known as Prakriti. That means your constitution, your specific type. Okay, and normally the broader types are Vata, Pitta, Kapha type of people. But in reality, we always see combination. It's like Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Kapha, and like that. And what is so your dominant dosha or your the dosha or combination tells me more about how your body is going to behave, and it will also guide you to understand yourself. So, just to give an example, if there is a person with a pitta dominant character, normally this person, when I explain it to them, I tell them you are like the soldiers on the frontier, on the border. And so this person is always alert, is very commanding, demanding. It's possible that they are very perfectionist people. They have a very good digestive system, and they like to they like to dress very well. Everything must be in place, like a perfection in wearing, in doing everything. They are very well organized. They have a very good intellect, and they can analyze very well. Now, these people, when the pitta goes high or is in imbalance, then comes the problem that they could analyze everything and they overthink. They could think too much, yes. And they think too much, and that can bring them anxiety, that can bring them like a burnout problem. That's to a bigger extent when it goes like that. But so these personalities are prone to this. So we need to tell them to come to a lifestyle which is pacifying the dosha or which is balancing it. And that's where is the Ayurveda's, the very beautiful part of Ayurveda is it's not only curing the disease, but we want the patient to auto-regulate or self-care their system. So they should learn during the process of consultation and the whole program that they can take care of themselves so that they don't fall into the disease again. So that is something where Ayurveda has thought over only diseases, but it goes beyond to make you, as I said, live long and to have optimal performance of your body. Of course, we always talk of the mind as well.
According to Dr. Sheth, Ayurveda's personalized approach can be effective in managing women's health issues. Dr. Sheth described her work with patients with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. PCOS is a set of symptoms related to our hormonal imbalance and is very often not only hard to treat, but often goes undiagnosed. The Ayurvedic approach focuses not on a specific diagnosis, but rather takes into account the patient's lifestyle and history to provide more balance in the body.
I had a patient who came to me because she was bloated all the time, and she was trying to find what's a good food for her, and she was extremely afraid of eating anything because she tried many things and she had this issue. And when I went deeper to ask about the history of her problem and other problems associated, I found that she didn't have period for almost 3 years, and she looked like a pregnant woman because it was extremely bloated. She was gaining weight, and her gynecologist was not able to understand, diagnose exactly. PCOS is a little difficult to diagnose when exactly because there's a varied symptomology there. And then with Ayurvedic treatment, we made a program for her, and I added some good nutrition which she could digest so that she didn't have bloating. And there was a lot of detox which we did for her. Now again, detox is a very vague word because it's been used many ways. But in Ayurveda, when we say detox, it means that there are certain accumulations in the body which are causing symptoms. And when we remove them, the body starts to function again. It's like clogging of pipe. Once you remove it, it starts again. So we did that for her, and within 6 months, she got her period back. It was so wonderful for her because she was in her 30s. She wanted to have a child, and she named her first child after Ayurveda because she was so happy because she had lost all the hopes. Yeah, and she would write to me. Now she has 3 children because she wanted to have 3 children, and she's really doing good. She keeps doing the follow-ups so that she keeps in the best health. But that is one of the things that even she was not even aware of what she has. Another case of PCOS is recently I have this patient since last 6 months, and it's the same story. Since the beginning of puberty, she never had periods which were like very regular and things like that. And she did everything, but the period wouldn't come back, and there was nothing else. And now she was worried. Now she's worried because she's into her 30s and late 30s now, and there's this problem. So she came to me, and then we talked about it. Now, what she was doing is she was working very hard with very heavy exercises, and her nutrition was down because she didn't want to gain weight. And because there were other factors also which were involved, she wouldn't get the period. And then we talked and we discussed because she didn't want even a kg more on her, and she was very hard on her. And when we discussed that, listen, if you are stressed all the time, if you put too much load on your body and the metabolism, and you're not nourished well, what the body does is it tries to stop the functions which are not not vital, like not life saving, not survival, and your digestion and your reproduction and other things are not doing great here. And then she changed her lifestyle, and now she has her periods since last 3 months. Of course, they are not like in 28 days. It's like still 45 days, but she's very happy to start the process again. And we are still working with this. So these are some examples which are like not a book story of PCOS or the syndrome as it is. Yeah. But in Ayurveda, if you are not able to pinpoint like a diagnosis by the name, but we know the process, that's what's happening. And when we reverse it, that works.
We also talked about menopause, and Dr. Sheth brings a refreshing perspective to the topic, viewing it not as a medical condition to be treated, but as a natural transition to be prepared for.
I do a lot of workshops on menopause because I want to create this awareness that menopause is not a disease and women don't need to be afraid of it, you know. It's not something that it's going to finish for you. It's nothing like that. It's just a change from one season to another, you know. After summer, you always have autumn, and it's autumn. If you are prepared for it, you know, it will go so smooth. But if we are not prepared and, we are doing things which doesn't suit us, but if you're prepared, like, okay, I have next 5 years, prepare myself for menopause, I'm sure that it's going to be a beautiful phase of your life.
At this point, you might be wondering, how does Ayurveda work alongside conventional medicine? And how does one know when to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner? Well, one way to think about it is that conventional medical practice is best for acute situations that need to be dealt with immediately. For chronic conditions like diabetes, for example, Ayurveda may be a helpful adjunct to treatment.
So we can integrate different kind of pathies, different kind of approaches to the health in the benefit of patient. So there are some places where we really need the allopathic medicine. There are some places where there is limitations and we need the alternative medicines or what we call complementary medicines. We can complement each other and create an integrative approach. If the person or the patient is having acute bleeding and things like that, we need the modern medicine to like a life-saving medicine there. So that's one example, but there are many examples. We could see that how, for example, in case of diabetes or obesity, Ayurvedic medicine could help from the nutritional aspect, dietary modification, help the person understand where he could make changes so that he doesn't go further into this. So at the same time, if needed, there are medicines which we need immediately to do like a life-saving thing.
Ayurveda is also complementary to another practice many of us are already familiar with, yoga.
Yoga and Ayurveda, they are like sisters, because the origin is from a similar philosophy. In Ayurveda, we take a holistic approach. We talk of mind, body, and the self. And yoga talks about the union of mind, body, and self. So yoga is a path. I feel yoga is a path to the mental and evolving mentally. Okay, and Ayurveda is more part about the health of your body. I use yoga like a therapy for a lot of my patients. When we talk about the PCOS or amenorrheas and dysmenorrhea, like when you have pain before the periods, there are certain yoga positions which help so much that if the person is doing that well, I don't need a lot of medicine. So I use yoga as a therapy. I use a lot of yoga in different ways, even the breathing. And breathing is also a tool for relaxation. Breathing is a tool to tell your body that please don't panic.
Finally, Dr. Sheth advises that life is always changing and our bodies react to those changes, whether it be the transition of the seasons or our own life stage transitions. Ayurveda provides ways to respond.
What I want to say is that not that we are fragile all the time, all the way in our life. It's even you see when once there is a change of season, you will see there's a lot of cough and cold and a lot of immunity issues because the immunity is down. And in Ayurveda, we specifically have regimes when we change the season. Because the season change is always a transitory period and our body is adapting, so it's low on its powers. It's the same thing happening when we are changing phases. So sometimes I tell my patients, see, when you were adolescent and the puberty was beginning, you were equally having mood swings. I mean, even I have a daughter. So there are mood swings, there are cry bursts, there are hot flashes, there is acne, there's a lot happening. But we don't take it negatively. We see, oh, yes, we are growing, right? After pregnancy and during pregnancy, you see the mood swing, there are a lot of things come again. Because whenever there is a transition, that's a fragile period. Take care of yourself and you'll be out of it. It's not that it's forever. So that's something where the women need to prepare themselves very well. Ayurveda is here. There are so many natural methods and there is so much to do about it. So.
I want to thank Dr. Neela Sheth for sharing her knowledge of Ayurveda and how it approaches women's health concerns through a holistic approach to care. Her approach reminds us that health is not just about treating symptoms, but about understanding and working with our bodies in harmony with nature. To learn more about Dr. Sheth's work, visit ashaexperience.com. That's ASHAEXPERIENCE.com. You can also find those links and resources in the show notes. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Paper Gown. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with friends who might benefit. You can find more information on our website at beyondthepapergown.com, where you can also subscribe to our newsletter that features articles, events, and of course our podcast. Until next time, take good care. This episode was produced by Patrick Shambayati and me, and our associate producer is Kyla McMillian.